Good morning, future crypto millionaires. Today, we're going to make hundreds, I tell you, as we do have a bit of a setup that is actually staring us in the face, probabilistically speaking, within the next 3 days, maybe maximum, add another 5 days on top of that. So three to 8 days. 3 to 8 days. Yes, if my math is properly done right there in my head. Anyways, other than that, in a more sincere tone, I do want to welcome you back to the Aircron Crypto channel. It's a nice little Thursday morning, a very big day for Bitcoin, as it typically is, and a lot to talk about, actually. But before we get into it, I do want to say last night I watched Downfall, this movie about Hitler's maybe his last couple weeks to last month, for like the third time, and it's such an amazing movie. I just have to say it again. It's so damn fascinating. Like, seriously, if you're in any way, shape, or form interested in that period of history, watch it, because it is, from what I understand, actually pretty accurate in terms of what is said and in the mannerisms and everything. It's just amazing. Anyways, all right, sweet. Let's get off of that topic. Let's get into the actual topic of today. And first things first, because it is Thursday, I do want to remind myself that Thursday is, technically speaking, the most likely day for Bitcoin to close to the downside. As if we were to look to all Bitcoin closures on Thursdays, 39.5% of them have closed positively. So that is the lowest on the board here by a pretty damn good margin. And in the case that it has had negative returns, it's lost an average of 1.71%. And in the case that we have seen positive Thursdays, an average return of 2.3%. So I do just want to measure this up on the board here before we continue on into the fun stuff, to see kind of where this would align with. And about 2.30% to the upside would put Bitcoin around 43,750, and if Bitcoin were to play out a 171 move to the downside, that would put Bitcoin basically on a retest of the lows. Let's call it like 42,000 bucks even or so. Anyways, to now address the opening ceremonies of this video, I do want to go over to this chart right here. We're going to be focusing on the HPDRO indicator, which is essentially representative of directional volatility in an oscillator format. And what we see is that the daily time frame has gotten down to this very critical -80 read right here. Why is that relevant, you might be asking? Well, because we've only seen that so many times really in the past year. We've seen it actually 3 prior times in this past year. And if we were to look at actually really all of the times since September of 2021, and yes, we can go back further than that, but I think this is enough, and it fills up the whole damn screen here too. There's been 18 times within that time frame where we've seen a read of -80 or more. And the reason why this is relevant is because, as you can see, correlating with these green vertical bars on those low reads, those have been pretty nice bounce areas. In some cases, reversal areas as well. For Bitcoin to play out a short-term upside move. So what I've done is I've gone through the data and I've measured each and every time that we've seen that happen, and just looked at the first 5 to 10 days of that result and seen what has typically occurred. And so I'll run you through a few of these right here, and then I'll just give you the answer at the end. But basically, out of 18 of these prior reads, all 18, 16 did provide the impetus for at least a 5% bounce, and in many cases more as well. There was 2 times very specifically where it provided no bounce. There was no, pass, go, collect $200 and go fuck yourself. It was just go fuck yourself, basically. One of them was this time right here in May of 2022. That low read was hit, and, well, Bitcoin did actually, it did kind of find the lows on the next couple candles, but ultimately, if you would have bought exactly when we saw that first closure below -80 on the HPDRO, it would have been pretty painful. In fact, you wouldn't have gotten out at in any sort of profit. And then, of course, the next one was actually a month later in June. May, June. Yeah. So it was about a month later. Same thing right here. It basically timed like the next portion of this dumpola party. There was no smiles during that time if you were to be looking at this particular indicator. But for all of the other 16 times out of 18, it has provided the impetus for a bounce in the next 5 to 10 days of at minimum 5%, and in some cases as much as a little bit over 10%. So in this case right here, this one actually, I did measure out 11 days, but here's the thing about this one. It did produce about it produced about a 10% bounce from bottom to next high. If we were to just look at the next 5 days, it did produce actually just under 5%. But I wanted to elongate this one out because I thought that was like a little bit more important to be aware of. Anyways, another example right here, 5 days from the bounce, and well, actually this one's a little bit higher than what I have, but nearly a 10% move. This one over here was actually the biggest move out of all of these iterations. We won't go through all of them, by the way. I won't bore you with that. But in this case, this one was 30% within 5 days. And again, I'll go back all the way over here when Bitcoin was in, the process of a pretty nasty bear market in 2022. Even then, when we got these reads, within 5 days, sometimes, a little bit less than that, but the highest price within 5 days was still producing a bounce of, in this case, 675, 695, 889, 12%. That was within 2 days, by the way, as well. So very, very fast there. And then this one over here, 10 days, 8.79%. Again, if we were to look at just the next couple days, still over 5% right there. So all of them, again, around 5% or more within 5 days or less. Sorry, let me restate that. About 5% or more within 5 days or less, typically speaking. And in some cases, we've seen, some of those moves just continue onwards and upwards. I mean, we have a great example right here of one of those, but those were actually not par for the course. Most of them did just lead into overall sideways markets, actually, especially in 2022, because it was a downside market. Anyways, in this case, we did see this particular area hit in Monday the 15th. So Monday the 15th, Bitcoin closed at 42,500. And so if we were to take that as a starting point and we're looking at, the next 5 days, that'd bring us into Saturday. So this would be relevant for today, tomorrow. Yeah. So the next 3 days, basically. And if Bitcoin were to add about 5% on top of current, or sorry, not on top of current, but on top of that closure, that would put Bitcoin at around just under $45,000 actually. If Bitcoin were to go for the upper boundary of that within, that same sort of time frame, again, about 5 days, we'd be looking maybe closer to 10%, and that'd put Bitcoin at 46,500. So I do still remain with what I've been saying over this past now week, in the sense that Bitcoin more poised for a short-term bounce off this $41,000, $42,000 region. But the real question is, how high does this bounce get? If this bounce fails to get above 46,500 on a daily closing basis, I'm going to look at it as just that, a bounce before very likely some actual major sideways and downside, with mid and maybe low 30s, as like reasonable targets, maybe even lower than that if things get really, really crazy, probably on some sort of black swan type stuff. But my point is right here is that we're going to very likely get the answer to this next puzzle piece of the market, basically before the week's end, or before Sunday, basically. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that on last Saturday, when I put out that long video about Bitcoin's likely trajectory, kind of leading into these next like 2 to 3 months, basically into the halving, this is the next like big puzzle piece of that, because if that analysis is going to be incorrect, we would expect really like we'd really expect, based off of these statistics and probabilities here, that we'd probably see this one follow through like in less than a week, and I'd really say before Sunday anyways, is what that would suggest. So if you fail to see Bitcoin back above that number, that would be the next puzzle piece in that sort of long-term equation. But ultimately, coming off of this region right here, again, more likely to bounce than not. What I do think is very interesting, and what, if I did have to really make a bullish case about this, it would be this: volatility reads are still coming off of some of the lowest levels that we've seen for a long time ever, and they are expanding right here. The moving average is very obviously heading up, and we do see higher lows. So I am inclined to say that if that plays with an HPRO upside signal, which it will get pretty soon here within the next day, extremely likely, that could theoretically have the rocket fuel to kind of reclaim that that very critical region at 46,500. So it is possible, yes. Is it probable? I still think that it's unlikely actually. But somewhere around $45,000, give or take a little bit from that number, I do think is very, very likely here within these next few days, before next week basically, and then we get to play the game of where do things close. So while things are more or less boring, especially for this past week, important things do happen as usual. Anyways, moving on now, I do want to add on to this case overall in the sense that the 12-hour time frame for CME is printing some hidden bullish evidence here, suggesting that short-term upside bounce is likely from these regions. There's not necessarily an intended target from that, but it does just, suggest that, hey, we have another thing kind of pointing in the same direction, and the 12-hour jewel is getting pretty damn down there and is now turned white. So it suggested that the short-term downside move is over. We already kind of knew that, but likely a bit of a mean reversion bounce here nonetheless. And speaking of mean reversion, we can go back to our chart with the HPDR bands, and we can see that Bitcoin has actually been closing well below the 50% of range lows for 1, 2, 3 days now, actually between the 61.8 and the 786 right here, and that is going to come alongside again these signals kind of popping up. So if Bitcoin were to bounce back up, let's say to the bottom side of the 50% of historic returns range low, that'd put Bitcoin at 44.6 just for reference. So these things do still kind of line up with each other. We're just seeing multiple different views kind of, I guess, what's the word that I'm looking for, having confluence. The median, however, is still quite high at 46,900. So I suspect that that'll come down in the next couple of days, probably to 45,000 or 46,000. And I don't really have much to add on to it other than that. But again, just another thing that does suggest that, probabilistically speaking, Bitcoin more poised for a bounce here. Bounce, not the same thing as fucking reversal. As we went over many a time, which I hope to make as abundantly clear as possible, just because I've already gotten a few questions about this, and it's like, okay, but are you now saying that there's not going to be any downside? It's like, look, there's no way to know anything for sure anyways. It's all probabilities is what it is, just likely. But what does it likely look like? I still think that it's likely going to look like this. You bounce up or maybe not that high, but bounce maybe somewhere around there. If you see rejection, okay, come back down, base one more time, maybe another shitty bounce, and then break down in like early February. Or let's say Bitcoin does reclaim $46,000. Okay, then all of that is going to be invalidated, and you can probably just expect a pretty ripping move above $50,000 and probably beyond from there, honestly. But these things take time, of course, and well, a little bit of patience goes a long way, I suspect, as well, and that's probably a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. So yeah, we'll leave it off right there. What would invalidate a short-term bounce? So that's actually a better question, which I've not addressed just yet. And what would invalidate a short-term bounce would essentially just be a closure below Monday's low, which is 41,700. Daily closure below there, and get ready for Bitcoin's probably first attempt below $40,000. Again, I don't think that happens before a bounce, but that would be the criteria that I'd be looking at to invalidate that, as is always needed. All right, that's going to do it for today. As always, I want to wish you the best. I forgot to humbly request that if you do find this content valuable, please do consider liking and subscribing. We do these videos each and every morning, and maybe even a live stream tomorrow morning as well. If things do move, that would be really cool. That'd be super.
Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin's short-term bullish and short-term bearish scenarios in this current wave 4 correction. It's currently a pretty draining, frustrating and boring correction because, I mean, while the market here in this entire period between December and let's say early January was also in a very messy corrective structure, things were at least interesting. I mean, now things are super boring, and since Friday, nothing really has happened, okay? So the market is just moving without any clear trend sideways and is in this very, boring structure, basically in something that resembles a bear flag. We're going to talk about that now. First of all, in tomorrow's video, we're going to talk about the daily chart again. In this video, we're only going to talk about the 1 hour chart. So if you are unfamiliar with the daily chart, feel free to check out our earlier videos or just subscribe and wait for the video tomorrow. The current idea is that a third wave topped. That's the base case. A third wave topped on the 11th of January. We're now in the fourth wave, which is a corrective structure, typically to keep it very simple, it's an A, B, C structure. That's the base case. This is typically what I track first, a simple ABC structure, which, however, might form a more complex WXY pattern or something different. So there are different complex corrective structures that can develop from here. The ABC is sort of the first structure I track, but there are more than 10 corrective structures available in the Elliott wave, let's say, library. So it can take any of them, and therefore it is impossible to say in the beginning of a correction which pattern it exactly will be. But there are obviously some guidelines, and we are going to basically track it within the correction. But within a correction, the focus should really normally be on capital preservation and just basically the focus on the bigger picture to avoid the chop. However, obviously in these videos, we are still focusing on the micro. And at the moment, I'm looking here at a potential ABC structure. That might change, but that's sort of the perspective I have. It's the base case. Below 35K, I have to change my perspective. So let's go to the 30-minute chart. And there isn't really anything in addition to the last video that we haven't talked about really. But let's talk about the short-term bearish case. In the short-term bearish case, the market, dropped in a direct fashion, obviously, last Friday, but only in 3 waves. An A wave can have 5 waves. So at the moment, the market didn't make a new high today. So the target area to the downside is sort of still relevant. And the idea is obviously that, we might be in a bear flag right now in a wave 4 of A. And this wave 4, to be honest, takes quite a complex structure. I shared with you in the previous video that this could turn into a WX, Y, X, Z pattern, where the Z wave or Z wave is basically still to unfold. And then we have a nice, very complex corrective structure, typically a pattern that doesn't really occur, so it's very rare, but possible. And from here then, at some point, we should see a move down. If a move down occurs somewhere from there, it should target the area between 40,887 and 39,314. That would be ideal. Bear in mind, there are also a lot of previous swing lows that are marked in the previous video with a lot of gray lines here from that, from the previous area here that built between early middle of December and early January. So they should provide additional support, but they might differ from exchange to exchange a little bit. But that is basically the short-term bearish case in which one more low should occur. But then we should also see a B wave corrective rally, which is the second wave within this correction. Now, in the short-term bullish case, we would have to say that this A wave already finished on Friday. If it did, then it's not very clear yet. But I also have to say that, of course, in a B wave, we're not necessarily watching for an impulse. So it takes a little bit more time and price action to confirm something like that. It's difficult because the move up is currently really, really corrective, but it's obviously possible that it's forming some kind of a more complex here, WXY, for example, in an A wave. Then this move down is a B wave, and the move up would be a C wave that would follow, okay? So this is, of course, something that is possible in this B wave already, but it takes a sustained break to the upside of this bear flag to really confirm that this is happening. This would be short-term bullish, but it would all still most likely be part of an ongoing wave 4 correction, because whether this is the A wave still unfolding or whether the wave A is already finished, the B wave should still happen either way, either from here or from down there, and then we should still carry on with the C wave later. So that's sort of the situation we're dealing with. I don't know what the market is waiting for. It is quite boring, but let's see if towards the end of the week we might see a little bit more action. So that's my update about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you're interested in daily updates about the S&P 500 as well as regular updates about stocks like Nvidia, AMD, Nike and so on, then check out our S&P 500 and stock service. You'll find the link directly below this video. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. We start on the daily chart. Quick update also for everybody who's new on the channel so that you are familiar with our perspective on the daily time frame. Won't spend too much time on this. We cover it basically every single day. But the idea is still that in the white scenario, we are currently moving in this fourth wave before the price ideally turns around, before breaking below 35K. Doesn't mean we have to go to 35K, but that's the threshold below which I would focus on different scenarios. However, at the moment, because the movement is corrective, price action is corrective on the downside, and we are holding 35K, we're above that level, I am focusing on this scenario primarily, even though in a bullish market, a deeper pullback is probably what many people prefer, because it gives most people the chance to buy back lower or buy lower, add a little bit to their portfolio. I would appreciate that as well. If we can break 35K, then we're likely going to move down lower in the yellow B wave, possibly even to 27K, 24K. At the same time, this would of course also open the door to new bear market lows, which however would not be preferred until the price breaks below 19,800. As long as we're holding above bullish support, we can watch for a bullish reaction. For now, we are not even close to the 35K level. And the idea is we are in this fourth wave and would then afterwards rally in wave 5 of 3, then a 4, then a 5, and climb higher towards all-time highs, okay? There might be another 4-5 pattern, which I will have to add, which is possible. Here, I would have to reinterpret this move up. There's another 1-2 hidden here potentially. But again, I mentioned it before, there's no rush to do that. Let's go already to the 1 hour chart because the market is selling off a little bit. That's no surprise. It's also still not, well, the market is not moving into any new ranges. We're still in the same range and we've just seen a little bit of a red candle. Seems like the altcoins are suffering a little bit more at the moment. A lot of them working through their respective corrections, while Bitcoin is still holding quite well, a phenomenon that we've seen throughout 2023. So the idea is still that we could be in this larger, more relevant A, B, C structure. The A wave, one more low, appears likely. Then we should get a B and a C. One more low appears likely. It doesn't mean it has to happen. It doesn't mean it's needed. An A wave, yeah, this is the first leg down where the price dropped in a direct fashion. An A wave can be a 3-wave move, and we have 3 waves here with a drop into the Friday lows. But an A wave can also be a 5-wave move, and this could be wave 4 with one more low to come in wave 5. And if that's the case, then the area between 39,314 to 40,887 is relevant as a target, okay? That's currently sort of an ideal target should there be another low from here in wave 5 of A. Seems likely to me because the market is quite weak, and until the chart gives me evidence that it's breaking higher directly, for example through breaking out of this flag pattern to the upside, I think another low is still, I'm not saying it will happen. It's not prediction that it will happen. It's not crystal ball, but I think it is very likely, has to be considered because there's zero evidence that this B wave has started, even though of course everything is possible. Okay, probabilities within corrections are anyway fairly evenly distributed. But I gave you a micro count in the previous videos, And we talked about, okay, maybe this wave 4, which is wave 4 in A, could be a complex W, X, Y, X, Z correction, and the Z wave might be an A, B, C. So it could possibly stretch higher from here and then maybe get that final drop. Or, maybe the B wave is already unfolding, but then the pattern is a little bit unclear or ambiguous. Not saying we couldn't start the B wave from here. It would have to be something like 3 waves in A. This could be a B wave and then maybe a C wave from here. But yeah, at the moment we just need to be patient. It's extremely draining, I know, frustrating, but the parameters are clear, and it appears likely that some of these previous swing lows could be tested in the decline. I haven't labeled them all, but they are all previous swing lows from this range that started on the 10th, 11th of December. Okay, and then potentially once that move down is over, the B wave should start, and then we should still see a C wave. If the A wave makes another low in the ideal region, into the ideal or any lower low below Fridays, really, I have to adjust the standard retracement or resistance area for the B wave. These are standard resistances, or let's call them rather retracements, because to be honest, they are not going to be resistance until the market reacts to them, but they are Fibonacci retracements. It's the standard Fibonacci retracement zone for a B wave, and only standard because B waves don't really have targets. B waves can even overshoot, and we have to remain flexible within the B wave. But for now, there's no real evidence that wave B has started. We have to remain patient, and for now the price is even hovering above the first main support level here for this wave 4. That's the entire support box relevant for this wave 4, and the main support level at 41,813 is currently being respected. And we just have to continue to be patient. Maybe today we finally see a little bit of action. I mean, let's see what happens when the stock market opens. So yeah, hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Linux Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this daily update on Bitcoin. Relatively normal update. I mean, the technical situation for Bitcoin right now is still the same. We're still in that area between 43,250 and then 41,500 or 42,000, kind of depending on what you think the main support is. So technically, we're still on that level, all right? Yesterday, obviously, we had some fundamentals with the Coinbase trial, but in the end, I mean, that also did not lead to anything major, as far as I know, and the market certainly did not react to that much. I mean, we had some big volatility right here in the afternoon, but apart from that, we're just respecting the technical structure, all right? So that means, and by the way, I mean, if you look at the open interest right here, it's been up and down as well, all right? So it's really, at this market, at this moment, the market really is not doing anything. Well, it's doing something, but in terms of movement, I mean, Bitcoin's price movement right now, I mean, it's even worse than, for example, the start of January right here, or right here, because back then we at least had altcoins moving. And right now, Bitcoin is not really moving. The Bitcoin dominance is slowly starting to creep up, which is not great for altcoins neither. So yeah, no, I think Bitcoin right here, if you just want to know what's going on at this moment, is we're consolidating, all right? Now, if you assume we're consolidating and we just hit the bottom of that consolidation around 42,000, and the open interest is showing somewhat of an increase, then you would also assume that on the short term, we can get some bullish momentum here up to the level around 43,300. So that's also what I expect. Yesterday, I think I said, which look, in the end, and I've said this before. I mean, I'm basically repeating myself, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing these daily Bitcoin updates forever. But the thing is that right now we're really just waiting for a breakout either above 43,250 or below 41,500, because then we have somewhat of a confirmation of what direction Bitcoin is going to go in. And then we can assume some more things, and then we can actually work with that. But at this moment, I mean, it's uncertain. And what I've always said is that I expect, at least on the short term, I expect a little bit more recovery or bullish momentum up to the levels right here at 44,500. Because of fundamentals, I think the open interest in general is still fine. Bitcoin halving is coming up. There's enough to be bullish about. And just in general, if you assume we're going to be bearish in the longer term, so if you assume we're going to drop down to 40,000 and then down to 38,000, which I can definitely see that happening. But even if you assume that's the case, I would still think it's more likely that we'll get up to the 382 fib right here, and at 44,500, like I said, my main price target, and that from there we'll start falling. That seems more likely to me. All right, so that's what I expect. Of course, over the course of the day, we'll get a little bit more information. I do think it's pretty certain we'll get up to 43,300 here. And then from there, it kind of depends. I mean, if the open interest keeps increasing while we hit that level, then I think we can actually have some sort of a minor bullish breakout there. But if it starts decreasing immediately, then it's just going to provide resistance. We'll drop back down to the bottom, and at some point of time, we'll probably try again. All right, that's what you need to know for now on Bitcoin. There are no fundamentals I think you need to know about. No fundamentals in terms of economics, anything. So no, if you do have any questions, let me know. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.
stablecoin has been released and it's currently available to trade. You can use it to convert it into another cryptocurrency, one that bloody moves. That new coin is called Bitcoin. This thing hasn't gone nowhere, man. What's the story? We've had a wild stock market. S&P and NASDAQ were trading negative for the day, minus 1.25%, to still managing to recover ever so slightly, but volume is higher than normal. You got bad news regarding the Eurozone, and they've kind of said that might not actually reduce the interest rates just yet. Just wait for Powell to say the same thing about the US, believe me. Because if the US comes out and it doesn't have a problem with inflation, when this month it showed that it did, then the United States economy genuinely is a monster, and they ain't stopping it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all well this evening. I'm going to keep this live short and sweet. Nothing much has happened other than good old Kathy has sold Bitcoin to buy Bitcoin ETF. It's one of the main names stepping up now. Remember, the authorized participants, we won't know who's buying or selling. We know they are authorized to get involved in the ETF, but we're going to dive into this article talking about Kathy and how she's got rid of the Bitcoin derivative to effectively exchange it for the Bitcoin ETF. So we're going to dive into that very shortly. Firstly, we're going to go into some altcoins because I did promise you guys that I'd go through some altcoins. We'll go into a little bit of Bitcoin, and then I'll finalize the live right there because this weather outside in the UK is rough. -6 degrees is what they're tipping for tonight. And I've been in and out of the house. And I've been in the hot house, warm house, stepping outside, drying up my throat, man. Anyways, let's get with the flavor, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this thing sorted out and break it all down. Good evening. What is good, guys? How are we all this evening? Yes, keep it short. Bitcoin rejected off the daily open. We going to 35K. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. I know -6 is nothing, bro. I understand it's nothing if you live in Finland or Sweden or you're in the top ends of the Alps. I can't be messing with that kind of weather, man. That's not me. And then again, I can't even stand the heat. So I need to find a place in the world where the temperature's just normal. That's it. I'm not interested in this hot weather or this cold weather. I just want it to be normal. I want it to be the 50 EMA. If there was a country that was called the 50 EMA. Anyways. Oh, here we go. -25. My days, man. Anyways, let's get with the flavor, ladies and gentlemen. Well, look, Bitcoin. Now, again, this is a lot of retail traders are feeling a little bit cheesed off right now. Why isn't it going up? Why is it not going down? Lots of flavors coming into the chart, and our bids right here are starting to just get a little bit tricky. If you remember earlier on, we had at 39,000, 20 million orders, okay? Order amount, 20 million. It's now been reduced to 13. It's like they're kind of pulling off, all right? That is a pull on the bids. That's not good. Can be good, but at the same token, it could mean that Bitcoin could be coming up. But at the same time, you've got guys pulling off the sells. That's not good either. So it seems like everything's just flatline, okay? Going into putting things into perspective, we're going to look at some on-chain analytics regarding Bitcoin, mainly trading data and on-chain analytics, just to get us to understand where we are with regards to Bitcoin right now. Because when Bitcoin does nothing, we don't get nothing. And then we go into the Asian session tonight, and then Bitcoin pulls the dirtiest number known to man. It's usually the case. Well, if I decide to press the button that I've got, then yeah, probably Bitcoin's going to make that move. So let's just put things into perspective first. Mr. Jamie Dimon has agreed that there are genuine use cases for Bitcoin. Money laundering, fraudulent behavior, extortion, blackmail. Those were the use cases this guy came out and said. And he's sick and tired of talking about it. Nah, well, he's cheesed off, right? That Larry Fink is making bank on the back of this because Larry Fink is a businessman. You'd think Jamie's a businessman, but he's old before his time kind of thing. So he's with the old boys. He doesn't even like the volatility of Bitcoin. He doesn't even like Bitcoin. But JP Morgan is heavily invested in blockchain technology. So you're kind of perplexed in some ways, trying to think, excuse me, what's Jamie's story all about? I'm losing my voice. Now, has anyone got a cough sweet? Let me start again. Kathy, have you not noticed that in all of her pictures, she's pulling the same face? Either that or I'm just pulling up the same image all the time when I'm searching for it, but she's always pulling that same face. Those porcelain teeth are always out and that lip's just going, she's just always doing the same pose. Do something else. Anyways, Kathy has now gotten rid of her position, as it says here. She's got rid of the derivative, as it goes into it right here. Where does she say it? She sells off $16 million worth of a position that's futures backed. Remember last night what we said about the CME data, okay? You see here, commercial is less than non-commercial, okay? And when you see that, it's because they are usually hedging themselves, right? So what she's done is she's effectively got rid of that position. And that would be the ProShares Bitcoin BitTo ETF in principle, okay? And she's now going to make a purchase of 365,000 shares of the ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF, okay? Which only makes up 1% of the ARK fund, all right? Is that good news? Well, yeah, of course it is, because this is the first one that's come out and said, look, man, we're getting involved in this bad boy. It only makes up 1% of it, but never mind. She's getting out there and she's picking things up. We go over to the actual ETF itself and have a look. And what we got? Don't really have much. All right. Still trading lower. I personally believe that next week we are probably going to see some interesting behavior on the ETF. Remember, ETF closes tomorrow. Okay, sorry, Friday. It finishes. That means Bitcoin has free roam to do whatever it wants. So if Bitcoin's price is going to get aggressively manipulated, and for example, it comes down over the weekends and it comes down aggressively over the weekends, you can probably bet that this ETF come Monday is going to probably start working its way back up, because then the logic would be that Bitcoin has dropped down and they've managed to buy Bitcoin cheaper. And then they're going to be transacting it to put it back into the trust to effectively get it into the ETF or make it as an ETF, okay? So don't get too worried about, the fact that it's going down. We were anticipating this to go down, all right? Because it's pretty much the first trading week per se. And look, we've got gaps already in the chart where we're naturally expecting them to come back up. And we've got another vector candle right here. I think that's great. We're starting to see vectors. We don't even have a 50 EMA. We've got a 5 EMA and a 13 EMA. All right? No 200 EMA. So we don't really know what's going to happen next. We can only assume, and this is it, right? You can't use Bitcoin's price to dictate what's this going to do right now. All right? Because Bitcoin's going to go up and down. It's about what price do they buy it at. And if Bitcoin goes down, we could actually see this, okay? If Bitcoin goes down aggressively and they start buying it up and it holds, then they're going to rush over to the ETF and get it converted. The ETF naturally is going to go up. Then we're going to see Bitcoin not really moving higher. Do you see what I mean? So, for example, here is Bitcoin's price. It comes all the way down, okay? And that's going in the weekend. Then at the weekend, it starts to stabilize like so, okay? And inside this area here, they've been buying up the Bitcoin, all right? Then come 4 p.m. on a Monday, then 1 p.m. on a Monday, they buy the ETF or the Bitcoin at certain times for each authorized participant, like BlackRock and JP Morgan. They do it at different times, all right? So they then take that Bitcoin and then they effectively go to the ETF, get it converted, and then they buy the Bitcoin ETF. That would naturally lead it up. You're going to see lots of gapping plays, all right? That's what could happen. Then Bitcoin's price could effectively start climbing back up from that point. I think it's going to happen in here first, then in here. Why? Because there's more market cap in here than there is in here. When we start seeing the same market cap near there or thereabouts, then, or a relatively decent market cap, then we're going to see some interesting plays. Remember, all of the cryptocurrency ETFs that are out there right now equate to around $56 billion. That's nothing, okay? Given the exposure that they've been getting, not much liquidity has come into play with those ETFs. If this ETF by itself can garner a lot of interest, already having $4 billion worth of trading volume, if we can get into the 10 billion mark, then we're laughing, because then that's going to pretty much take, it's got more than 10% of all the ETFs collectively. So that's really important that we understand that, okay? Now, go back into Bitcoin's price. Very tricky day today. It's come all the way back down. And if you remember earlier on in the live stream, we were talking about this level here with Bitcoin. If you remember, we were going on about the 42,047, which would take us inside of this area right here. Now, Bitcoin actually made its way down to 42,199 before it reversed. But remember, they had opened up from the value area low, they swept the liquidity lower, and then they initiated the reversal back up. So if you look here, can you see how they've got 1,000 contracts, 1.5, 1.1? They didn't go beyond the 42,199. That's good news, okay? Now, when you're trading the idea of the depth of market and you're witnessing this, take into consideration what's going on. Look at how much the contracts are, okay? Because if value is going to hold its place, they're going to try and keep it where there is a happy medium of near or thereabouts the same amount of orders. As you go further down into here, you don't see any thousands. It's just 200s, 300s, 500s, all right? And that's where price can get really, really crazy, because they're trying to find value. Who's going to be loading up at a specific price point, all right? Effectively, this is what it would be doing. It'd be going like this, up, down, up, down, up, down, until it finds itself a situation where someone's going to be putting in bids to mark it up higher. And that's when you start seeing price slowing down, and then it does this choppiness and then slowly starts to climb back up and do this flavor, because they've managed to get the interest from traders on the profile to effectively mark price back up. And they did that at the 42,199. We didn't get the 42.47, but we said here that this was the area that we would naturally anticipate them to try and reverse from. Granted, it was the value area low, and they did give us that reversal right there. So they've shifted all the way back up towards the 50 EMA. Again, what's the story? Above the 42,000 zone, are they building the shorts? Are they building the longs below the 43,000? We're not going to know until we see a significant break of Bitcoin outside of these ranges, okay? Now, let's just go over and have a look at a couple of on-chain analytics on Bitcoin. So what have we got? Yesterday, we saw that there was quite a significant amount of people withdrawing from their wallets. In other words, effectively looking for an exchange to take liquidity, okay, to sell their Bitcoin in principle, all right? Now, this metric here is the Bitcoin wallet inflow, outflow. Inflow means we're putting money into our wallets. We make the assumption it's hard wallets. Outflow means we're taking our money out and going and putting it into exchange, okay, to seek liquidity. Now, what we've got here, we have got 1,006 Bitcoin inflow at 42,479. We've got effectively 827. We've got 1,018. And then we've got 1,055. All right. Now, the problem is you've got here 2.45. You've then got 776. And then you've got 2.57. All right. Then you've got this 2.24. Now, granted, you've got this area here which shows 1.68. And then you've got 1.88. Frankly, it doesn't equate to what this bad boy is doing. And that's a little bit of a cause for concern. If we see people loading up their wallets with Bitcoin, we need to see at least the next day or so to actually even out this area of people trying to sell their Bitcoin by principle, all right? If we keep on seeing this drop in terms of people withdrawing from their wallets, then that means they're seeking liquidity, which then can add weight to Bitcoin's price coming down. Now, people are throwing out the idea that Bitcoin's going to go to 35, 32, 31, 29. I even saw 19 somewhere. But I was like, okay, not a problem. That just means it's cheaper. You know, that's the truth. Hi, Tino. Can you get some popcorn and beer to enjoy the live stream? Greetings from Italy. Thank you very much, my man. Thank you very much. Wasabi, what's good? What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Like the damn live, Fatino, you on... Nah, it's all good. Everybody does like the live. Don't worry. They will. They will. All right, then. So, looking at the high block, just to understand where we are. Earlier on, we saw this liquidity here at 41,100. Let's see if retail is actually getting a little bit frustrated, right? They are. They are getting frustrated. Look at the concentration of orders here. It's not as bright as what it was just a minute ago. And that was taken during the live stream today. So we know that there are some people now taking money off the table. It's getting very quiet in cryptocurrency. People haven't got the patience. People don't want the exposure. They don't know if it's going to go up or down, all right? Now, remember, we've got a logic that we are in a cyclical play, okay? We've got the idea that this is an M formation, drop, retrace, level 1. We've got that logic. So we're naturally anticipating a drop to the downside with Bitcoin. We're waiting for the level to confirm itself. How long is a different story, ladies and gentlemen, okay? You may have heard me talk about this before. I was in a trade on dollar yen quite some time ago. And I was trading the logic of cycles, all right? So I had a W formation, rise up, retrace, level 1, rise up, retrace, level 2, rise, retrace, level 3. So it was a Sunday going into the Monday, and we had a level 1, okay? I was expecting this logic to come into play, where you had a rise up, retrace, level 1, and then I'd expect another move up higher. Cool. Guess what? I had sat in a trade for 2 weeks because dollar yen did not break out of a level. It just kept trading sideways. It didn't do nothing. It was dead. Then it decides to make the move. Of course, I closed my trade before the move. Come on. You sat 2 weeks waiting for it. You're waiting for a level to break, and that's what can happen, okay? Now, granted, Bitcoin could effectively do the same thing. It's very unlikely Bitcoin's going to trade sideways for the next 2 weeks. I mean, it could trade sideways for the next 2 weeks, granted that we've only got this range from here. Logic says that, you know, we're stuck in this range. It's had a little bit of volatility up, and it's now brought it back down again. So we are still technically in a range, all right? The last time we were in such a tight range, ladies and gentlemen, just go to 5 hour just to make life easier. You could, well, you've got this right here. You've got this range. Look at that, horrible range in Bitcoin. So top side, it was 15th of August, and it broke out 22nd of October. So that is rough, you know? But that's something that can happen. All right, so you've got to really take that into consideration. Now we've got the same logic coming into play right now, where you've got Bitcoin trading sideways, and it doesn't seem to want to break down just yet. I am of the belief Bitcoin's going down, all right? The problem that I've got is will they do this first? Will they recover the imbalance? Okay? Because I believe that if they do decide to sweep Bitcoin higher, it's going to be a fast move to take out the liquidity to only reverse it back down again, all right? The same thing that they did here. Where is it? Look at this. See this drop, red vector? Well, quite frankly, they actually came up to this red vector sooner rather than later, all right? But the idea is that the move up, or sorry, this red vector candle here, okay, they've recovered it. This was before the ETF. But if this red vector candle is going to get recovered, I would expect them to sweep up to it first to come back into it, similar to what they're doing here in principle. You see this move up, come down, happy days. So just imagine, ignore this area here on the chart, all right? I mean, let me make it easier to show you what I mean. Here we go, perfect example, perfect. Here we are, look at this. So this is where we are in principle right now with Bitcoin on the daily, okay? This area right here. It's not moving up, it's not moving down. I'm expecting them to sweep up, to take the liquidity back, to only rip it back down again. This is what I'm looking for with Bitcoin. Now, the only way that that's going to be a valid assumption, ladies and gentlemen, is if Bitcoin does manage to get above the 50 EMA cloud at the top side. Earlier on today, I said to you guys to watch out for the 50 EMA at 42,150 and the next point at 40,808, roughly there or thereabouts, okay? So if Bitcoin can surpass this point at 43,500, then there is probably a promise of it going up into this imbalance, because this imbalance is bloody huge. If we go into the sell orders, you can see just at the top, look, you've got commitment up here, 15 million at 52,184, but that's not an area where Bitcoin has been just yet. So 48,800, you've got 10 million right there, and then you've got 5 million here, and then we've got another area at 13.98 million. So looking at this chart now, we can clearly see that there is more commitment on the bid side than there is on the offer, all right? So that could be explaining why Bitcoin isn't moving up. Have a look at our dearly beloved bookmap. What have we got? We zoom out. Now that bids are coming in, it just showed a plus 16, plus 17%. That means that bids are being hit. That means limit buys are being taken. That means prices are going down. And look at what's going on. Starting to break away from the VWAP itself. Now, the logic says that if we do have this commitment down below, then the logic is that we would anticipate them to come and fill this place, all right? Now, look, we've got a lot of bids. Oops. Seeing some movement now. Okay, nice little ball, little move there. No. Is that? Oh, okay. I thought I saw the good old ignition algo where you see zigzag orders. And that's effectively the algorithm trying to push price to a certain area. It's crazy. Go check it out. It's called ignition algo on the CME. It's in their T's and C's on what the algorithms can and can't do. All right, go check it out. So 41,800 is a lot of commitment down there on Bitcoin, all right? Even if Bitcoin does drop down away from this VWAP and sweeps this area, logic says we would anticipate them to start marking price up because this is the relationship with the bid and the ask, all right? Imagine you have got yourself. This is really important to understand because then when you look at the candlestick, you're then going to say to yourself, is that what's been going on? Yeah? So imagine you've got the bid right here and you've got the ask right here. There's numbers all over the place. All right. The idea is that if they've been bidding price down and price has been dropping, okay, drop. It's going down, it's going down, it's going down. Everyone's losing their shit because Bitcoin's going down. But what's going on is bid orders are coming into play. So they're holding price and taking up all the orders. So they're buying it. Once they finish their buying, in principle, you're going to see a sharp move from the lows. They'll try and come back into the range again just to make sure that it was a genuine move. And if it was, then they'll consolidate and then they'll start working their way back up. The same way these guys who have been bidding price to the downside are now going to look to offer it out to the ask, okay? So they're going to say, all right, does anyone sell to me, I'll take your order, take my order, because he's going to look to offer it higher. And that's where you're going to see price going up slowly but surely and ending up recovering previous zones. So the concept of the hybrid system is that we've just had a shoe bag of guys going long on the bids, passively picking up orders to the downside. Now this stability or this stabilization of Bitcoin could be the moment in the chart where we're getting ready to see them lifting up the ask to sell into that, okay? To get people to sell, all right? And encourage people to buy, because if they've been buying as it's been dropping, they need it to go up. That means that they need people to come in and buy it. So we need an aggressive move up to encourage traders to go long, so that the guys who have been bidding price to the downside, buying it as it goes lower, are effectively selling it as it's doing what? Going higher. All right? So you get these instances where the candlesticks or the hybrid system gives you that clue as to what could happen later. Now, again, if Bitcoin, if they're not interested in this zone, they can just simply sweep it. They don't have to come back to the vectors, but they will come back to the vector. All right? It's all about timing. If they know that they can get a repeat of this and get more bids to the downside, that means they can get Bitcoin cheaper, they will break Bitcoin down and they will sweep the 50 EMA and they will go way beyond into the 40K range where it's consistent with orders of bidders stepping in and trying to hold price, which you can see right here. 39,000, you got 13.9 million orders at that point. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, here we go. All right, Crazy, I saw you type this and I forgot to mention it. I didn't even mention it, so please forgive me. All right, Crazy said yesterday, and he's saying it several times. So here we go. First, we recover the imbalance and push to 50K, 52K, then slight sideways consolidation. After that, we get a big retrace, okay? Okay. Let's have a look. Let's look at your logic crazy. First, we get a retrace. First, we get a move back up, recover the imbalance. All right. And then we go to 52K. All right, then. So let's just consider the following, right? Bitcoin right now, okay, is up 1.19% for the quarter. All right. Yesterday it was 2%. Now it's still positive for the quarter. Okay. Cool. So, right, let's go back now into the chart. So it's up 1.19%. Your belief is it's going to go higher from this point to 52. That will take Bitcoin up, and it will be up 23% from this price point. Is that something that Bitcoin can achieve? Well, of course it is. It was up 100% in 2021. It was up 56% at the end of the quarter of 2023. Okay? So it's not numbers that we effectively can't see. All right? Go to 50, 52, and then pull back down again. All right? So when you've got that logic in your mind, I'm meeting you halfway by saying, yeah, they'll recover the imbalance right here. Okay? The biggest news in cryptocurrency was right here. That was the ETF being approved. What a waste of time. Right? The biggest news was right there. And it turned out to be sell the news event. Well, they said it would be, and it ended up being. Was I fooled? Yeah, I was. Because I've never experienced a Bitcoin ETF before. And given all of the pumps to the upside, you know, you would have got on the idea that maybe this could actually encourage things. But then it would start to make sense. Like, how are they going to accumulate the crypto? How are they going to get the Bitcoin ETF? They need to buy the Bitcoin. So you're saying to me, Bitcoin has dropped from this high at 49,000 and now it's sat at the 42,000, and that's enough of a discount to start buying the Bitcoin ETF. Now you sat there thinking, we've got a halving coming up. I mean, if Bitcoin continues up from this point, happy days. A halving comes into play. We get a halving at 50,000. What a cool thing. That means it's not going to be too much of a slap. All right? My logic is we need Bitcoin to drop. It has to drop down just so it sits in line with what these authorized participants are doing. All right? We know that they're buying and selling Bitcoin behind closed doors. And this spot price right here, I personally don't think they're going to be buying it at these prices, man. I don't think. I think they're going to want it lower. That's my logic. That's not me being bearish. It just means it's being cheaper. Bearish is not bad. It's cheaper. Remember that. Don't give me shit because I say Bitcoin might be coming down. Come on. That's how I know you're not on the same mindset. Bitcoin's cheaper. We encourage cheaper Bitcoin. Granted, you might have a bag that you want to increase in value. I get all of that. But then we can flip it on its back and be like, well, you know, you now can buy a little bit more because it's a little bit cheaper. Please, ladies and gentlemen, I do not want the worst for Bitcoin. The ultimate discount would be 8K. Now, that would be a nice time for Bitcoin. Think about it. It would be because it's cheap as chips. Would they allow it to go that far? Well, we've got other guys talking about 10K Bitcoin, 12K, 15K. And then we've got the guys that are saying that they will never happen. Look, man, banks with much larger market cap than cryptocurrency have collapsed. Don't think Bitcoin's any different. Because when someone is pushed and they have to free up liquidity, they will do the business. They really will. That's not me scaring you. That's me giving you the straight facts of life. You know, two emotions operate in this game, fear and greed. And there's nothing else in between. They might sleep for a couple of hours, but it's fear and greed. That's it. All right, cool. Time will tell. I see that. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, so altcoins. Let's get with the altcoin flavor because I did promise you today. So what's been going on? Nothing. BNB has been taking the top spot so far, so good in the last 2.5 minutes. Okay, BNB has been making the flavor. Let's just quickly go over to BNB and have a look at what's going on there. All right. and then correlate that. So BNB's pulling back down again. I really want that 380 BNB. That's what I'm looking for, 378. But they're consolidating, so that's good news. We could be getting ready for that altcoin flavor, ladies and gentlemen. Going into Ethereum, you can see it's starting to do its flavor right here, okay? We've got the USDT chart right there, so it looks like it could be on a promise to work its way up towards this red vector at 5.93% because of the back of the dollar is still going up, all right? But we do have an imbalance down below here that we need to be very, very cautious of, which then leads me over to a list of altcoins for you guys. So first things first, we're going to have a look at what the open interest is on several altcoins. MAV has come in with a lot of interest right now. And then I'm going to have a look at your altcoins in the chat, guys. So look at that bad boy. MAV has made a nice little move to the upside, seeked beyond its range daily high. It's actually gone to, no. Oh, that was from the previous session, forgive me. The fast move away from the psychological range, and it's trading really well for the day. Granted, Bitcoin's been coming down, and this bad boy is doing really well. All right, we're just going to the higher time frames, go to the daily, just have a look at where we are with this coin. Look at that, nice recovery of the wick is on its way. That'll be a nice thing, $2, might take a little while, but look, that is a perfect climb, a nice accumulation coming into play. That's beautiful, man, look at that. It's literally, this coin is smiling at you. Yeah? He's smiling at you. Let's see if he's going to go for the hairdo and go towards the top side of this range right here, at least minimum 1.6 if it does continue. But just remember, it's showing that flavor of a rise, retrace, rise, retrace, rise, retrace. All right? So just be very mindful of that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look. Big dump on Bitcoin. Nah, ain't no dump on Bitcoin. Come on. Don't say that, right? Let's have a look at ADA for a second. All right, then, Cardano, what we got? See, now ADA's looking like it wants to... okay, then, cool. Here is that zone. We marked it off last night for the gentleman, okay? So, yes, here we go. So there it is. So you had these block ranges right here, and this is where they last sold off from in principle. What we were talking about last night, if I'm correct, is this is where we would anticipate them to try and run longs on this violet vector candle region right here on the higher time frames. And here's something that a question was asked by one of the guys in the Platinum chat about the block ranges themselves. He wanted to know if the red vector, when does price break a block? Okay, so when you've got a block, what do you use? Do you use the higher time frame that you see the vector on, or the smaller time frame? What is it? Well, if you've got a 1 hour time frame and you're trading off the 1 hour, then you make your decision off the 1 hour. When you jump to a smaller time frame, you will always see a vector candle. For example, look, you can see right here, every time they break into this range, which is this zone right here, there is a vector candle. It's not no phenomena. Look at it. Vector candle break right there. Vector candle break right there. Vector candle zone right there. Vector candle, vector candle. And then you've got a vector candle zone here, vector candle zone there, and I keep on going, and you've got a vector candle break right there. Why is it breaking there? Why is it not beforehand? Why is it not above it? Like, it's always at that point, because this is a point where they previously had transacted. So the market has a good price memory game, okay? Now, when we go back into this example right here, the idea is that this is on the 5-minute time frame. If I go into the higher time frames and look at the hourly, I can then say to myself, well, where are the vectors breaking down, all right? So I'm not seeing them, with the exception of this red vector right here, all right? Now, if you took the logic of it breaking down on this vector candle on this 1 hour time frame, you'd be waiting for the candlestick to close, because you'd be waiting to see if it could break down beyond this point to start running shorts on the break of this range. But because it's the 1 hour time frame, you would naturally be waiting for the next candle, and you'll see straight away the next candle spike back up, so you'd be waiting. But what if you went down onto the smaller time frames and made the decision off the 5-minute time frame, even though you were trading it off the 1 hour? All right? You've got 1, 2, 3 breaks there, 4 breaks right there. So you'd be running your shorts right now, then you'd get hammered. Okay? You've got to make sure, and this goes to everything, not just regarding this range stuff that we're talking about. It's important that when you're taking a certain trade on a specific time frame, your strategy has to align with it, all right? There are guys that only look at the 1 minute time frame, nothing else. They're not even interested in the dailies. They're not interested in the weekly. They don't even have time for the weekly. A person that trades off the 1 minute time frame, okay, and he's exclusively a scalper, if he were to go to the weekly chart, that's like pulling up a chart for the last century, okay? Way too much data for him. He's not interested in it. He's only interested in small fire moves. Naturally, yesterday's high, yesterday's low, they are important areas, and you really want to be watching how price behaves at those specific points. But it's too much information. But he has to make his decisions off the 1 minute time frame. Again, if you're trading, you're waiting, and you're taking trades off the 15-minute time frame, don't go to the 1 minute time frame and then have a completely different trading approach. Make sure that whatever you're doing on the 1 minute time frame is reflecting your bigger picture move on the 15-minute time frame. Okay? Because you can swap. You can be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to try and take a little bit of a long, because even though the 50-minute time frame is coming down, I'm going to try and take a long to see if price can go back up again. And then before you know it, you're trying to take a long and price continues to go down. You're scratching your head thinking, why did I mess up? Well, the bigger picture on your 50-minute time frame said it was going down. So always make sure that you're sticking to one time frame that you're executing off. All right? Cool. Next, what else we got? Algo. Let's have a look at Algo. Well, actually, I didn't even do ADA, but ADA here, you can see that it's breaking down. It's retraced away to the 50 EMA on the 5 minute time frame. Well, that's the 200 EMA, but it's the 50-minute time frame, 50 EMA. You can see that right there. Where is it? Here we go. So drop, retrace, 50 EMA, drop back down again. The fact that the vector hasn't closed down below is a good sign, but it's consistent with them sweeping liquidity. Look, there's no clear, strong closes of the candlesticks, all right? You've got this one here, you got this one here, you got this one here, you got this one here, and each time I see these wicks, there's a good chance they're going to come back into them, all right? Where have we seen that before, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, there's a bit of a problem with it. 41,726. Bitcoin has a wick all the way down there. Go to the 1 hour time frame. Bitcoin has just a wild amount of wicks inside of this range. So effectively what I'm saying is they could be in the mood to start sweeping liquidity lower. Remember, the bids are currently coming in. There's more bids at the lows than there are offers at the top side of the move. Okay? Take that into consideration. What else we got? Have a look at BMX. Mr. T. All right, then. That bad boy is coming down now. Okay, then. So, look, historically, this bad boy, every time it pumps, it's going down. And anyone that looks at an altcoin and thinks, oh, my God, I missed out on it. Historically, you know the asset when you just look at how it behaves. Look, it's easy for you to identify how an asset moves. Makes a nice move up, it comes down. Makes a nice move up, it comes down. All right? Now, this is not TA. This is understanding the asset that you're trading. How does it move? So if you go back in time and look, okay, so that's as much time we've got. 14th of November, it's a new coin. They did it in the first bloody couple of weeks of it. Where was it? Yeah, the first couple of days of trading, right? They did the same thing. They marked it up, they came down. They marked it up, they came down. Mark up, they came down. So historically, you've got the information about the altcoin telling you that anytime it marks up, there's always going to be an aggressive move down. What are you looking for? You're looking for climatic candles. What's a climatic candle? Climatic candle is when you start seeing people buying this coin. How do you see that? Huge green vectors, all right? Blue vectors usually appear at the top side of the move, okay? If you are new to the channel and you haven't done so, go on the hybrid system on the Traders Reality website and check out the free course on there. It's tradersreality.com. Just go check out the free course and it will show you exactly what I'm talking about with regards to these indicators, and you can download it free of charge. You just go to the info section and then you can download the indicator right here, Trading View, okay? And then, of course, when you're done with that and you've joined the Discord, you go over to the courses section and then you take advantage of the free course right here. Get involved with that bad boy right there, okay? Now, with that being said, we go back into this idea and we get the interest that this coin is going to be doing the same thing, all right? It's going down now. And notice you've got 3. 1, 2, 3, okay? It's going to come down to the psychological range before it decides to do another thing, all right? Cool. What else have we got? Matic, yes, let's have a look at Matic. All right, so Matic is breaking down, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just quickly go and have a look at Matic on the order flow right here. Let's have a look at where the bids and the offers are coming into play. All right, then. So we have got, oh my days. 762,000, 767,000. It's quite a lot for Matic. 300, 500. Yeah. It's quite a lot of bids. Hardly anyone is offering 1.34 on the offer. Of course they're going to be offering that much. I don't think they're going to be getting any of these orders anytime soon. Oh my God, 666 at 1. Anyways, oh my God. Let me just have a look at Solana. Sorry. Solana right there. Okay, so Solana is, oh my days. Oh my days. Oh, that is rough. That is rough. All right then, naturally, there's always going to be orders with Solana and any other asset that you see, all right? But what we've got to do is we've got to dive into it and look closely just to identify where we could actually expect price to end up. Excuse me. So we had some sell orders get triggered here at 380. They actually transacted 1% more, all right? We've just had these bids come into play, 214,000. We narrowly missed 131,000, but they only transacted at 19, so 14% of it. But before we go into this big pool of liquidity, we got 3.2 million. That's a big order there. 3.2 million at $98.75, all right? Going in the offers, you can see that they've been offering it out like crazy, and they've been sitting those orders nicely, and they're starting to lose a little bit of steam. 2.2, 2.16, 102, 430, 2.16, 102 again, sorry. Yeah, so it looks like that the bids are going to be purposely bidding down just to get their orders filled, all right? Because we've got a big order right here. Where was it? That 3 million on the bid side. That's going to make things make sense for us. Yeah, so yeah, that's the idea. That is the idea. Okay, then cool. Yeah, it's very choppy. Solana is very, very choppy, man. Very, very choppy. Okay. H-bar, about time this thing's going down. Anyway, what else have we got? You've got some brown eggs. Oil. So I've got lots of drawings on oil, all right? But they did it today. Look at that flavor right there. Let's just go and have a look at that bad boy. Let me just go into, I think, oil today. Did a nice little price projection on oil, if knowledge serves me correctly. Let me pull that up for you. Oh, my God. That is not nice. That is not nice. Okay, then. So where is my oil? Here she is. So the idea was that we were expecting the red vectors to come into play at this point, and we were waiting for a V-shaped play with oil, okay? And oil is a wonderful asset to trade if you are patient with it, because you're really trading vector to vector. Marcus, I hope you took advantage of this, man, because there it is right there. V-shaped play. Perfect. Retrace, consolidate, blue vector candle right there. I do believe I mentioned this on the post. Here we go. Oil traders, we are currently creating a V-shaped play. By the time the New York opens and starts trading, we should be expecting a recovery of the red vectors. Be mindful, oil can correct as deep as the blue vector at 69.80. Okay? We go and have a look. Look at how close they got. 70.50. And the blue vector was all the way down here as well. So they got pretty close towards it, and then they've instantly reversed from that point. All right? So that was a nice little flavorsome move right there. But with oil, you got to be careful with it. Again, you want to be paying attention to the dollar, all right? And dollar itself is starting to pull back ever so slightly. It's appreciated by 3%. And tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we are going into the good old unemployment claims where the madness will unfold. So I'd be expecting dollar to be coming down, to see everything else come back up, because there's going to be profit taking right now. They can buy more euros right now off the back of a strong dollar, transact on that, sell into it, make it go higher. But then, of course, we've got this problem here with the UK inflation puncture interest rate cut hopes. That means it's going to be the same thing for the United States. That means the stock market is going to get slapped. That means we've got to be very careful with our positioning, ladies and gentlemen. That means we need to end the live. Mad love and respect, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed tonight. Trying to keep it short and sweet. Again, 45 minutes. Please forgive me for keeping you tonight, but I'll be checking in with you all tomorrow. All right? Mad love and respect, guys. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
I need your full attention. If you have your cat...
Seriously, aliens live in Stonehenge.
Says the guy who pays for cable internet with slower uploads.
There is a stock that fits every personality, every style of trade, more or less. I mean, not every sector, but in the EV space, there's 31 flavors like Baskin Robbins. So VinFast, to me, is kind of like, what do I not like? I'm not a big fan of like peach flavored ice cream. It's too sweet. So yeah, you know, I'll stick to rum and raisin. That's Rivian.
They're all at 52-week lows, pretty much, right? And so it's what Neil said is like if you, I don't think any of them are investable, but if you're gonna trade, I mean, I think they're all great for trades. So right here, like breaking $6, I feel like is a good level there for VinFast. The thing is like we already seen this name go. It was just, I mean, it's so sad to say this. Like it was just $9, you know, 2 weeks ago. You know, now you're down to $6. So you've just lost 35% in 2 weeks. You know, NVIDIA's up 35% in 2 weeks. Okay, so VFS. And this is what we said when we were doing the podcast. By the way, join us on the podcast as we're going to film that tonight, and then we'll show it on Saturday. We talked about, I said this was when Brendan asked me, I think it was December 26th or whatever the day was when we were doing it, what's going to work in the new year? I said the same things. You know, what's not going to work this year? The same things. Like, look at VinFast here. Obviously, I don't have the short float on here, so I don't know what it is now. But it was bad. We have share issues here with how many shares are floating around. Only 34 million. It's actually pretty decent right now, but the market cap of this thing is pretty low. You know, are they worth a shot? Maybe. You're at 52-week lows pretty much now. The 52-week low is 480 something or something like that. So we'll see what happens here with VinFast. I don't like the name. I don't like the space. There's only one investable name in my opinion, and it's Tesla, and that's had a rough ride as well. So, yeah, not super excited right now about EVs. I mean, where's Lucid? 3 something and change, 280 right now for Lucid. Like,
At least it's over $1.
that was insane. Like, look at this chart. Fabian, look at this chart. Look at this, $5 every day. Every day I'm hustling. This looks like it's Canada's Wonderland, like you get a new roller coaster ride.
Almost.
And it's just like, doot. Oh yeah, man, we're at the top. Bang to the downside. Yeah, it's pretty bad there. And I know there's a lot of people invested in these names. I have some shares in some of them. I don't even know what anymore. I think one of them is Fisker. They're all horrible. They're all horrible and they're dead. So take your money out and put it into Tesla immediately.
All right, let's bring in Luis Barbado from the Day Trade the World office. We're getting some charts set up on Sharif's screen right now. Joining us from Barcelona, Spain, once again. Good morning. How are you?
Hello, I'm pretty good. Brendan, how are you?
Fantastic. It's a freezing cold, wintry January morning here, so I don't even want to know what the temperature is in Barcelona this morning, but I'm sure it's a lot nicer there than here. Luis, we have a ton to get to this morning. There's a lot of volume in small cap land once again. I was just having a look at this AGFY, which looks to me like, there was a news headline I saw on this, but it looks to me like one of those ones we've been seeing over the past few months that does the reverse split, comes back into, you know, a prior level, and then tries to go again. So give me your thoughts here. AGFY to kick things off, 85%.
Yeah, it used to happen this, as you say, they pump it with news up, and they do the reverse split or the offering again, and then we go again back to $1 or $2. That's a pretty common kind of movement in this small cap world. It's a strong stock today, as you see, it's 80% up. It's a very tiny float. I think it's 1.5 million. It's rotating like 5 or 6 times the float already. So it's kind of a bomb about to explode. If it takes this high of the pre-market, it might be very, very tricky. Okay, remember 1.5 million shares and it has been traded, I think, over 9 or 10 millions already. So it is dangerous. News, of course, related, but it's also true that it's not a sector that is very volatile. I think it's engineering or manufacturing, something like that. It's not biotech, it's not pharma, so it shouldn't be so crazy. But with this tiny float and the volume traded, let's be aware if it takes this high of the days. If it lose VWAP and the volume, we will look for a VWAP rejection on the backside on the short side.
Love it. Is it a key level, maybe as support? I mean, you mentioned VWAP there. Is there a key level as support that you would look at for this, that $2 kind of area standing out on the daily chart?
Yeah, absolutely. The $2 area and the VWAP. That's the two important levels we're going to check when the market opens. And of course, the high of pre-market, we will be a little bit aware of going short. It is also true that you see in the other chart, we have some daily resistance against to trade short as well. But taking into account the tiny float, save your money on the short side on this one. Only when it goes backside against some VWAP or against some levels, you can trust more the short side.
Great stuff. Let's move down the list a little bit further here. MRAI, another one. Right around that dollar mark, but a ton of volume again. Already, you know, 2.5 million on this one.
Yeah, as well. Similar approach, but it's also true that it's only popping up 28%. It doesn't look like the news are so strong. So we are more confident on this one to go short against these pre-market areas to short it and waiting very likely to lose the $1 area support, the $1 round number.
Sounds good. Anything else catching your eye here this morning, Luis?
Yeah, so let me share. I'm going to share the screen here and see if we have some in our radar. We create a radar in the academy, in the 8-day trading academy. I think you see it now, right? Let me check. I'm sharing the screen now. There we go. We have some gap up, AGFI, as you say, right? Then we have some MDC, Roma. Be very careful with this stock. It's only 4 or 5 days in the stock market, moving crazy, $11 to $1 move the first day of the trading. And then we have LQR as well. We were trading yesterday. This stock very active. Popping up, it moved from $4 to $4, and it tried to recall the $3 round number. Very interesting stock to watch. And as you see, AGFI is a very low short interest and very low institutional ownership, only 7%, but very dangerous if it reclaims the high of the day. And as well, another tickers to look is all Trump related. As you can see, BWAC, for example, PHUN, BKKT, all the Trump-related companies will be very, very active as well today, probably.
When it comes to, I know we're going to get this question, so I'll just jump ahead of everyone. When it comes to these types like that AGFY, for example, that are maybe up for the first day in a long time doing all kinds of volume, a lot of people have this predetermined notion to maybe fight the move and look for areas above in that case when it comes to like an AGFY where they can put on a short versus resistance or something along those lines. From a price action standpoint, what is it that you need to see when something is clearly strong, moving to the upside, that would make you want to fade that?
First of all, technical analysis, checking the resistance, support, and VWAP. This is the three mainly indicators or areas that we look for. And of course, take a look on the level 2 on the tape reading. If you are an expert trader and you know how to read the tape, it will give you a lot of confidence on the timing mainly. Not so much about the price, support, resistance, you know, that will give you more the VWAP and the resistance and support areas in the chart. But talking about the timing, it's more important than the movement. Timing and sizing, in my opinion, after 18, 19 years trading, I think is the two more important notions you have to take care of it. Timing and sizing. If you go too big or too early or too late or too small, the trade, it will not work. So it's more important than forecasting if it's going to go up or down. That doesn't matter, really, believe me. I know we're talking about the stock market, and how can you say it doesn't matter if it goes up or down? It does, but it's more important to be in the proper timing. And the level 2, the tape reading, gives you this timing when offers are popping in, refreshing hidden orders, trying to hold bids or offers. That will give you the perfect entry, the moment to go in the trade.
Well said. Exactly where I was heading. I mean, a lot of people tend to, say, "Oh, this has to do this," but it's more about it is doing something before you start to get involved and confirm that it is.
Sometimes we just want to be right,
Exactly.
to win the bet. And actually, it really doesn't matter to win the bet or not. It's am I right or not? But I was in the moment when I have to go in or not. That's more important.
Luis Barbedo joining us from the Day Trade the World office in Barcelona, Spain. Have a fantastic Thursday session, Luis.
Thank you very much, Brendan. Say hi to Sean and Neil.
Will do.
You just did, Luis, and hi right back to you. And look, thank you, Luis, because one of those, when you make a trade, you just need to be right from the point of your entry to the point of your exit. Like, you don't need to be right on the day. Like, you could go long on AGRFY, AGFY, and it could break out and give you like 10, 15 cents for a scalp trade here. It could close the day at $1, like right back into $1, but you still had a winning long trade. So it could trend all day in one direction. You could have a couple of longs, and it could trend in the other direction. So that's what it's all about. These guys, just because I know the sector it showed there, but these guys will do like vertical farming in the cannabis space. So maybe they get a little bit of a cannabis bump if you're looking at some of those names. But it's all about the ridiculously small float with this, so be careful there. And then we already talked about these yesterday with DWAC and Funware. I think they're still going to be in play. This time I actually saw you, Randy. Usually he sneaks up, but my peripheral vision was a little bit better today. The bulls are out.
I put the bulls out there, but XOM's at 52-week lows, man.
Yeah,
I know.
It's fine.
We got average into that one. We got average into that one. All right, thank you, Randy. All right, cheers. I already went and got my own. You almost spilled your coffee there.
I
That
know.
would have been
Well,
pretty
my other
epic.
one was like half full.
I'm double fisting like I'm in the club. Yo, Luis, Luis, can you hear me? No.
He's still there.
Can you hear me?
He's still
Okay.
there.
Throw him back out while I talk to this guy. Is he ready to go? Yo, Luis, how's it going, my guy?
All good. I'm still here.
Good. How's recruiting going over there and everything? I feel like we didn't get a chance enough to ask you if you're hiring, what's going on like that, where can people find you?
That's great. Thanks for asking. We just hired 6 new guys this month.
Wow, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll be training them for 3-4 weeks here in Barcelona. And 2nd of February, we're moving to a new office, new cool office in the city center. So you're more than welcome.
I was gonna say, why don't I come and cut the ribbon? We'll bring we'll get the media there and everything like that. We'll cut the ribbon. We'll get the mayor. Be quiet, Brendan. I'm going.
The mayor.
We'll get the mayor there to cut it. We'll
Get the president.
We'll get everything.
They have a president or prime minister.
Yeah, exactly. But why I wanted to ask you here right now, I have a show called the Market Recap Show, and we don't really
Looking to generate more profit and delight your customers? Meet Rocked.
Too well. I'm fried. I don't know why. But as, you know, just to answer the question, just to put it out there again, no farts were harmed during the creation of the thumbnail. I don't even know why I picked that one, but I wasn't even going to go live. I don't know what's up with me. But we've got to have a conversation today, ladies and gentlemen. The idea of a 50K Bitcoin, is it something that's going to happen? Will it happen? Well, 50K seems like it's a long way away. Why? Well, you may have heard about it last week. Vanguard didn't really do a good thing about endorsing the Bitcoin ETF, prohibited its clients from even buying it, and they've excluded also gold ETFs as well. So at least Bitcoin is getting compared to gold. In other news, ladies and gentlemen, the Bitcoin ETF volume has actually surpassed 11 billion. That's good news, all right? Now we know that the fees are going to start going up, so that's another good sign. We're seeing a lot of players selling Bitcoin to only go and convert it into the Bitcoin ETF. So what I'm suggesting to you all is we are in an accumulation phase. We're loading up on Bitcoin. They're not ready for Bitcoin 50K yet. I don't think so. They ain't going to be buying Bitcoin at 50K to put it into the ETF. Not just yet. They want to pick it up as cheaply as possible. Remember, they're doing peer-to-peer, private negotiations off the exchanges. We don't know who's buying it or selling it unless they decide to tell us. So we're going to break it down today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to try and keep this live short and sweet. Good chance that I won't be going live tonight, so I'm going to give you all a full breakdown of what you need to be aware of going from now into tonight's Asian session. In other news, we have had the unemployment claims data. Again, it's gone down. Less people claiming benefit. That means what? Well, I'll get to it right now. Mad love and respect for passing through. Let's have a conversation, gang. Here we go. What am I doing? I froze. Oh, there we go. All right, then. So, what's the plan? Here we go. Let's have a look at what we got going off over here. Very interesting day so far. This is the S&P. Just looking around. Excuse me. All right, so leave the S&P alone. Let's go over to the Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has done nothing, man. It's not doing anything. And what... Excuse me. I can't do this. All right, then. That should sort us out. Here we go. So the idea is that this area here, the thing that's different about this now, and you've heard this, a lot of people say this time it's different. When I say it's different, it's because we are in what would appear to be an accumulation phase. That's what we are in, all right? Go over to the ETF itself. And we've also got, yet again, another gap down, all right? Look, it's trading lower, okay? So there is a lot of accumulation happening right now. And this ETF, like I said to you last night, this ETF is going to continue to go down until we get the start of a new week next week. This is the first week of trading. People are finding their feet when it comes to this ETF. People are waiting for people to buy it. We saw an article yesterday by Kathy saying that she's got rid of $16 million worth of Bitcoin on derivatives, and she's, of course, converted it over to 365,000 ETF shares. Happy day. So that's effectively a little bit of an endorsement on the ETF. But, you know, it's not the first time Kathy has bought Bitcoin, okay? But it's the Vanguard story. So check this out. Mr. Kaiser himself, he says that the reason Bitcoin is failing to reach 50K is because of Vanguard. They just put the cap right there and said their clients are not going to be picking up the Bitcoin ETF, okay? And I can understand why they're not going to be doing that, all right? So check this out. Let's go back into Bitcoin's quarterly performance. You can see that we do see green and we do see red. What we don't see is consistency. And that's effectively what Vanguard's talking about. It has a simple philosophy. We've got goals, all right? We've got keeping things balanced. All right, I'm not going to get into the other two, but the idea is that Vanguard are effectively trying to make sure that their clients are not exposed to wildness, okay? Now, you can see here that Bitcoin is now down, well, it's gone down to plus 0.28%. Only 2 days ago, it was up 2%. So you're seeing the volatility in the first quarter of 2024, all right? And this is what Vanguard wants to protect its clients from. The fact that it's protecting its clients from the Bitcoin ETF in essence, is not endorsement of the ETF. Now we're starting to see, ooh, what's going on here? Now we're starting to see what is happening over here. I need to play this one very carefully. What we need to see happening, of course, ladies and gentlemen, is the idea that if Bitcoin is going to continue higher, it has to go down lower. Simple as. There's nothing else to it. It needs to get down lower. It needs to be cheap enough to say to people, okay, guess what? This is what the Bitcoin price is. We need to pick up as much of it as possible. And that's only in relation to the ETF. Like I said, the ETF ain't going up until Bitcoin is down. Or should I say cheap enough, okay? Now, let me just pull up the Bitcoin, pull up the book map just to put things into perspective. You've got Bitcoin moving away from the VWAP with an aggressive test towards it earlier on today. We've got these orders coming back down here below. You've got these orders down here at 41,500 and then, of course, the 42,000 zone. The logic says that we would expect Bitcoin to effectively try and sweep this area because I'm not really seeing anyone selling at the top side. No one's placing any orders just yet. So it's a bidder's market, okay? So put that into perspective. It's a bidder's market. That means Bitcoin's price should be coming down. When you look at Bitcoin here, you can see that we are above the 42K and it seems to be struggling around this 50 EMA zone, okay? So this is really important. Every time it's gone to this 50, it's come down. Gone to it, come down. Now it's at that point right here. What's going on here? At this point, it's come up to only reject it quite aggressively. So you've got to be very, very careful when you're trading this with Bitcoin because it's sideways price action. Ethereum, okay? Ethereum's been all good because we've seen nice movements. One move up, one move down. Happy days. But you've got now compression on the moving averages, okay? And if the compression is happening on the moving averages, it means you do nothing. You've got to wait for the first bout of volatility, especially if you're using the 1 hour time frame, okay? Now looking over here, excuse me, looking over here with exo charts. Let's put this over here. Oh, there we go. All right, so Nasdaq's starting to make its move up. So what we're looking for here is, where is it? This is Bitcoin's depth of market, okay? And what have we got? Bitcoin is currently in value, which is good news, okay? And as long as Bitcoin is in value, that means that there's going to be some time spent in this area. When it moves away from this area here, that's when we pay attention because we know it's consistent with reversals. Now, you're not going to get a big move up in Bitcoin or a big move down maybe just yet. But when it starts to spend time in this area here, you can see how it's holding out this zone, okay? The next point of interest would be the point of control at 42,692. Now, when you're dealing with a range like now, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, and no one's going to make fucking sense of where it's going, all right? Which leads me over to the high block itself and looking at the liquidations without this big, bright, white screen. What's going on? Oh, my days. Just sign in, bruv. Come on, happy days. There we go. When I'm like this, I get very, very impatient. I get pretty angry. All right, then. So look at our liquidity right here. It's all over the spot. Got traders loading up here. These are liquidations. Trader liquidations, 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 liquidations. There is no clear area of liquidity that we can say, yeah, I'm going to try and attack that zone. Look at this. The nearest pool of liquidity sits at the 40K range. That's the nearest pot, all right? 39,400, 39,500 is where the bigger pool of liquidity is, all right? We go into the orders and have a look at the bid and the offers, and you can see, like now, look, the offers, they're not there. They're starting to dry out, okay? When we zoom out and look a little bit closer, you can see you've got this bid side right here at 39,000, even 38,900, 17 million contracts in that range. We go in a bit more, 39,000, you've got 13 million. So we can make the assumption that people are thinking that Bitcoin is going to drop. So logic says that we expect prices to go down. Does that mean you just simply go short right now? Well, this is what you've got to be careful of. You've got to be careful of this range, especially on the 5-minute time frame, all right? I'll get to the daily in a second. Bitcoin right now has done this drop to the downside, away from the daily open, and now it's made a fast move back up towards the 200 without the prospect of even testing the daily open yet again. There is a chance Bitcoin could surpass the daily open, but look at where we are. We are in the psychological ranges. We have not had an aggressive move away from these zones, and these zones are very important for us because if Bitcoin can't break this range and trade away from it, it looks like we're in an accumulation. And it's probably going to stay like this going into the end of the week, okay? In the news, we've also had that unemployment claims have come in at 187,000. That is great news for the dollar, sad news for the euro, okay? Dollar's gap down. They filled the gap. They're now loading dollar back up to try and take out a key zone at the 103,386 zone, okay? So we understand that it's biased to the upside of the dollar. All right. Now, one thing we do need to pay attention to is the USDT chart right here, okay? When you see big moves up in the US dominance chart, right, it means that they're selling Bitcoin, all right, selling crypto. When it's coming back down, it means they're buying it, which means that we're logically assuming at some point we're going to try and trail back up towards this zone, which will then naturally lead prices to come down, okay? When you use this chart, it's best to use it at very big time frames, okay? So what have we got here? You can tell that there is no trend right now because of what's going on inside this USDT chart, okay? We're looking for trends like this, all right? That's happy days for us. Now, if you see dollar or US dominance accumulating like this, all right, means they're selling crypto. So they're trying to keep price at its current price point to avoid missing out on selling it at a decent price. There are people that are capitulated right now. There are people that are thinking, you know what, forget it. I'm not interested anymore in loading up any more positions. I'm leaving it, all right? So with USDT holding out like this, it means that we are potentially expecting USDT to try and climb up a bit more, to sweep up this area right here, which effectively means that we're going to see maybe this vector candle region over here, all right, as a representation of when they were buying Bitcoin. Remember, someone had bought Bitcoin here. Someone bought it here. Someone bought it here. Someone bought Bitcoin here. We assume Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency. Naturally, we're going to be expecting them to realize a return and go back into USDT, which naturally means USDT is going to climb up. I think we'll get that move towards USDT up here, and then that's when it will Bitcoin will stabilize and then try and make the recovery back up, okay? Now, you know what? I always take my vitamins and my minerals to be correct, but I guess it's just the weather. It's a bit cold, ladies and gentlemen. It was like -6 today, -7, I think it was this morning. It's frosty outside. So yeah, happy days. All right then. Cool. Going into this article here, sorry it's not with the flow today, guys. Cumulative Bitcoin ETF volume crosses 11 billion on the 4th trading day. The more that each time they declare this, all right, the more the volume keeps on going up, the more likely people are going to start noticing it, all right? So like I said, it's going to go down, it's going to keep going down, but the volume is going to increase. Remember, they're not, in my opinion, they have to buy the Bitcoin, all right? They have to buy the Bitcoin to get it converted into the ETF. Well, if you're a big player and you've got your clients' cash and you're going to say to them, do you want this Bitcoin ETF? They'll be like, yeah, how's it work? And you explain it to them. They'll be like, well, how many can I get? Well, Bitcoin's price right now is 44,000, whatever it is, okay? If we wait a little bit longer, we can buy more as it comes down. So that means you then own more shares of the ETF. All right, cool. Let's do that then, bro. All right, cool. So imagine everyone thinking that right now, okay? Imagine that's the whole thing happening across the board. And then Bitcoin's just going to roll over and then trigger a discount, for a better word. And then that's where we will see Bitcoin try and make a reversal back up. But not just yet. We're not seeing the reversal just yet. We still got this problem of this 800 EMA down here, okay? That's a bit of a problem for me. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I love you all, but I'm really sorry, man. I'm going to either keep coughing, I'd sound like shit. But listen, if you are going to be trading Bitcoin today, all right, try not to. That's my endorsement, okay? Try not to, because it looks like it could be a bit choppy. Roll to the 5-minute time frame, okay? And pay close attention to how it behaves on the 5-minute time frame. If you're gonna scalp, only scalp when you see vectors. You behave on the vector, okay? Don't do nothing else. Behave on the vector, all right? Because you're gonna get caught out in this BS right here, this sideways chop, all right? You're not interested in that, okay? So listen, if I'm better tonight, then I'll go live. If not, I'll be checking in with you all tomorrow morning. Please trade safely. I hope today has put things into perspective. I need to press the button right now to get the market moving. So I'll be checking in with you all later, man. Take care of yourselves, gang. Sorry, man. Mad love to you all. Peace.
you struggling to become a successful trader? What if I told you I make between $1,000 to $15,000 a day?
Hello financial programmers, I am Ritvik Dashora and I'm back with a new video and some new learnings. Find script in technical analysis, how to movements of any particular instrument like any stock here, and I just write say RSI. I can actually select the technical indicator that I have here, and if I click here, which is this curly brackets, it says source code, then you can see that this is the code of RSI, the Pine script editor. All these are the functionalities that are required to make an RSI indicator. So I'm not going to write each and everything from basic if I want to create something new. What I'll be doing here is I'll be just copying and pasting as many things as possible, because I don't want you guys to learn each and everything, but I want you guys to be perfect in this platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm just relying on the code that is available here, and will use it in my further analysis. Now here you can see that this entire source code is basically plotting a graph in this platform, where you can see up and down movements of RSI indicator. Now, in order to make a strategy, we are not much interested to just plot it, but we are interested in the logic that is used here. And basically what I'm going to do here is, if the level is more than 70, then I need to take a trading action. If the level is less than 30, then I need to take another trading action, and so on. So this is something that I'm interested into. The plots are, yeah, definitely it's good, I can plot it, but the more important thing is this one, because on the basis of this I'll be making a trading strategy. So let me just copy and paste it in a new window, and you can see that it's version 5, which is the most updated version as of 6th June 2022. So I'll just click here, I'll go to indicator, which will open a new blank window here, and I'll just paste it here. Right now I'm not changing anything here, I'm just interested in these 2-3 lines. Right, so let me just keep it here as it is. Now I'm interested to include another technical indicator, suppose money flow index. Right, so before that let me just save it. So I'll save it as RSI plus or RSI underscore money flow index, MFI. Right, now this code will be saved here in the recently used. Let me just close this one and go here and write it money flow index, money flow index. This is another indicator which is actually like RSI only, and if I click here on the source code, you can see the source code of money flow index is also here. It also ranges between two lines, which are actually 80 and 20 here. Overbought and oversold, it's exactly like RSI, and what I'm interested into is to create something which will be a mix of money flow index and RSI, and we'll see whether a combination of these two indicators gives a good perspective in our technical analysis. So let me just copy this one as well, and I'll go here, I'll come to the RSI MFI code, and let me just expand it a bit or make it full screen and just paste it here. Perfect. So we have pasted both the technical indicators source code in a new window. Now let's do a couple of things here, right, as I mentioned before. So apart from that, I'm actually not interested in all these things, because Bollinger Bands and all, I'm not at all interested in this video and this one as well. So I'm just concerned about the RSI, and in RSI as well, actually I'm not interested to plot it, but let's keep it for now. Also, let me just write MFI here and then comment it, which is pressing Control and /. So the first one, which is this one, is RSI, and the second one is MFI, which is money flow index. Here also I'm not interested in any of these graphs, so I'll just delete all these things. Let me just keep MF as of now, and if I save it, Control S, you can see that I have this graph here in front of me. I have given it a name a name of RSI MFI, but the problem here is the name here coming is just RSI, because this short title is just RSI. So let me just change it here, RSI MFI, and the same will be here as well. If I save it here, Control S, you can see RSI MFI plot is here, and this is how you can actually combine two technical indicators in your analysis. Now the bigger question is how to make your own technical indicator using these two, for example, or if there are more. So in this video, I'm actually going to combine RSI and MFI, and if I come here, you can see this is the overall, I would say a combination
Bam! Shout out to everybody here. Sorry for the lateness. I was on a call. If you want to know the truth with the Cadillac dealership, and I kind of went in. I was sick and tired of what was going on there, and my car's been there for a week. My wife was on the phone. I grabbed the phone. Next thing you know, I said, dude, you know, anyway, let's get into it. You guys don't care. It's not that big of a deal. It's first world problems, right? But shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on it. Appreciate each and every one of you. But I just wanted to tell you the honest truth. Why I was late. I got into that phone call at like 9:55, and it went on until 10:10 because I was livid, to be honest. Let's jump on in. I don't like being taken advantage of companies. I don't like when people don't, treat you properly. I treat all my customers with gold. And I also don't like when businesses aren't set up right. When they tell you, well, we can't handle it, we have too much. And I was like, well, then you should have hired more staff, and you're not organized, and you need a better manager. And someone's not handling your company properly, period. Like, I always speak to them like a corporate guy. I'm like, well, then what's going on with your corporate structure? I'm like, sounds like you guys need another manager over there, and you're not handling your business. Anyway, shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on it. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here, sharing your most precious asset with me, and that is your time. I just itched my back, and then I saw myself itching my neck again. I'm like, whoa, double itch there. Anyway, let's break down Bitcoin, what's happening with BTC, and if you were in the trading group last night, what would have happened. Shout out to Sammy Loyal. Guy's growing on me, man. I like this guy. He's good kid. Came from nothing. Yeah, he has a little chip on his shoulder. He talks a little ish sometimes on Twitter, but, he reached out to me when my mom died. That meant a lot to me. Sammy, if anyone knows Sammy, tell him what up. Shout out to Sammy Loyal. God bless you, brother. But I check his feed out every once in a while now. Shout out to everybody here on the live. I never take his trades. I only take my own trades. But that's what happens when you get into your own system. Shout out to the Celtics banging on the Spurs last night. That was an absolute clinic. Just absolutely tearing them up. They beat them 4 times straight this year, I believe. Pretty awesome. Anyway, let's break down what's happening for Bitcoin like we do every single day. I showed you this symmetrical triangle this morning. I told you that I was in a long, right? I talked about the long. The long's up 19%, $147.77 on 770. Look, the 77s, right? I went in for 77. I didn't even actually map that. That's just kind of how it worked out. But again, I put out this trade yesterday. The trade's been open since like 4 o'clock yesterday. Been a long time just sitting there in chop. Why did I open up the trade? We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down on the channel. Did I make gains last night? I did. I got into Myro for massive gains. I put in $9,000 and I took out about $10,699, made about $1,700 overnight. Then I went back in for another $5,000 and I'm up again on Myro. So yeah, the 15-minute was looking aggressive and the 1 hour looked like it could possibly get another bit of a punch to the upside. So I decided to throw down yet again. See how this 1 hour plays out. My target could be 35. Myro continues to pump. If you're in my trading group, I gave you